Ladies and gentlemen of the House, please accept my apologies for rising a second time to speak on this issue. I have heard several comments today that I think need addressing. To begin with, some think that Maine's tax dollars are set aside for us, apparently in some sort of escrow account, and if we don't tap into that money, other states will use it. No, that is not correct. As a matter of fact, for every dollar that Maine sends to Washington, we receive at least $1.30 back. Some reports indicate $1.78 back. We, the state of Maine, rely on the generosity of other states. We are not sustainable today, and this will further strain the federal government. So the federal government has offered us a deal. A portion of the $70,000 could be enrolled free for 3 years, but the other half, and the existing $320,000 already enrolled in the program, are at a much higher match rate. They entice us with one hand, and they take away with the other. Many of us have repeatedly expressed our concern regarding the prioritizing of our limited resources. While we have recently addressed our Priority 1 wait list, our inability to adequately serve thousands of other disabled individuals whom we are obligated to serve in their homes and communities as the result of the Pineland Consent Decree leaves me feeling shameful. Not providing these services is shameful. We hear that this bill will not affect the wait lists. Really? How have the wait lists fared since the last expansion? They grew. Do you honestly believe Maine's long-standing lack of funding is not the primary factor? Before we vote, let's also consider that there are other departments that have also been feeling the strain of inadequate funding for years. At a recent press conference, several commissioners spoke about their concerns regarding the Medicaid expansion proposals due to our current inability to allocate adequate funding for their state agencies. Could the reason that we have been experiencing this underfunding be related to the program we are considering expanding, whose costs have exploded over the last 10 years? Mr. Speaker, Scarborough is a coastal community. Commissioner Kelleher of the Department of Marine Resources explained that his agency needs funding to adequately protect our coastal resources. He said that lack of funding is, in quotes, jeopardizing 5,000 license holders in an industry that is worth likely upwards of $900 million to our coastal communities. Without adequate means, he also explained that our lobster, shrimp, and clam industries will suffer due to a lack of oversight. Today, Maine's coastline is experiencing a green crab infestation that is affecting the clam industry, and I am worried that this issue will take a back seat due to continued lack of funding. Scarborough has several farms and a long history with the harness racing industry. Commissioner Whitcomb of the Department of Agriculture, Conservation, and Forestry expressed his concern that further expansion would continue to shift money away from our state's forests, farmers, and public parks. He stated, unfortunately, because of the constraints, particularly over the last 10 years, of the incessant shift towards social spending, the natural resource agencies have taken it on the chin financially. At a recent Farm Bureau meeting, strong concern was expressed concerning foreign insect infestations such as the emerald ash borer and the Asian longhorn beetle that threaten our hemlock, maple, ash, oak, and chestnut trees. But that is not all they were worried about. They spoke about many issues, and yes, farmers also spoke to me about not expanding Medicaid. They recognized we are already an expansion state with 320,000 Mainers already enrolled. And over at the Department of Inland Fisheries and Wildlife, things aren't better. Commissioner Woodcock expressed dismay that his underfunded department is hampering the ability to invest in upgrades to Maine's fish hatcheries. He said 50 years from now we will be impacted by this moment, and our ability to maintain Maine is being threatened. The list continues. The Department of Environmental Protection has contamination cleanup sites on wait lists. Over the past 10 years, almost $3 million has been siphoned out of funds to clean up groundwater and surface cleanup. The Transportation Department was once 25% of the budget, but has been whittled down to 10%. Our road and bridge repairs are woefully behind schedule and underfunded. And while we have been able to allocate more funding to education than any previous legislature, we still fall short of the mandated 55% funding target. As a matter of fact, I received an email from the chair of Scarborough's Board of Education and another email from our superintendent today. Why? They are worried about cuts to general purpose aid. The list continues. Budget shortfalls have resulted in long overdue bills to our hospitals, repeatedly sweeping dedicated accounts, ignoring our armories, replacing the circuit breaker program with one that is less than desirable, and since 2009, annually rating revenue sharing. Previous Medicaid expansions have taken their toll. The debt level grew so high that even hundreds of millions of ERA stimulus funds were not enough to help us pay off more than $490 million of old debt to our hospitals until we tapped into the new liquor contract. It's important to note that Medicaid, with its bandied about $1 million per day, is not free. We are not leaving money on the table. To expand, we must enroll more than just the free for 3 years category. This is an all or nothing deal. We must also enroll tens of thousands who do qualify for subsidized insurance. This will cost us millions of dollars per year because they do not qualify for the free category, and taxpayers will be picking up the tab. Some folks have opined that reversing Maine's recent income tax cut of 0.55% would solve all of our problems. How so? With the tax cut, our income tax collection is ahead of projections. With our unemployment rate at 6.2%, more Mainers are working in our strengthening economy, and this is certainly good news. The Department of Labor's Commissioner, Jean Paquette, recently issued a statement with many areas of concern, and she wrote, "The loss of general fund revenue has prevented many of our citizens from getting a hand up, not a handout, with a good job." She explained the department has not been able to sustain a number of programs that help people transition from unemployment and welfare back into the workforce. And that squeeze was felt back in 2007 and 2008, when about half of our career centers were closed. The previous expansions are and have been taking a heavy toll on our state budget. We need to recognize that we have a Medicaid problem. The chronic underfunding of vital programs is the result of our growing Medicaid program, which in 10 years grew from 13% of the budget to 25%, and at the same time the federal government has also cut back our federal match rate. The impact is compounded with the slowing of the national economy. For these reasons and more, expanding this program, again, at this time, is the wrong answer for Maine's future. For now, helping uninsured Mainers understand what their options are is important. Access to health care today exists with Maine's hospital care programs and Maine's federally qualified health center locations. And if one can commit to earning at poverty level wages, deeply subsidized private insurance is available through the marketplace. Expanding the Medicaid program is like adding a second floor to a house that has a crumbling and overburdened foundation. Let's work together to find better solutions. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.